All right.
All right, we're live, so we'll call the meeting to order. Any changes or additions to the agenda? Anyone? Nothing there? All right, so we'll vote to approve the agenda as is. All in favor? Say aye. Any opposed?
Motion.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'll motion to approve.
I'll second.
Okay, now we'll vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Good, that passed. Organizational, moving on to letter A, new committee member introduction.
So just a quick update on the park board. When I was first hired on, there was actually an unfilled position at that time. I think somebody who had recently resigned. So that went unfilled for this last year. So one of the new slots open is to fill that spot. And then Christy had some family commitments, so she wasn't unable to continue on. And then we actually went from a 6-person board to a 7-person. I just think it's a good opportunity to have potentially more thoughts, ideas, and that sort of a thing. And then of course, you know, if you have a title and that sort of a thing, you kind of have that on one. So that's kind of where we're at. So with that, I just wanted to introduce and welcome the new team members and have them give an opportunity just to say who you are a little bit, maybe about yourself and your interest in serving on the park board. So whoever wants to go first.
Sure, I can go first. I'm Robert Berninger. My wife and I moved to town in '07, so we've been here longer than we haven't, which is weird. Let's see. We have a sophomore and a 6th grader. Neither of them are really involved in Parks and Rec types activities outside of summer camps. That was a new offer this last year. I am a behavior analyst by trade and do like legal advice for schools right now.
Welcome.
Yeah.
Thanks, yeah.
Thanks.
I'm Shane McCarty. My husband and 3 kids and I have lived in Lenox for about 10 years. I'm a medical coding auditor, and kind of like Robert, my boys are involved in Parks and Rec, but I have a daughter who's very much, you know, artsy, and so just kind of thinking of all the different things that Parks and Rec can encompass is kind of what brought me here. So.
I'm Matt Hart. My family and I moved here in 2020. My wife has taught here for like 15 years, I believe, something like that. Who's keeping track? But my daughters have gone to school here, even when we didn't live here, so that's all I've known. By trade, I work in Parks and Recreation. So hopefully we can find some things to talk about when we're going through this and go from there. So happy to be part of your group here. So.
Okay, thanks. All right, moving on. Visitors to be heard. I don't think we have any. So we'll move on from there. You don't have anything, right? You're just here to observe? Okay, perfect. All right, moving on to the minutes from last month. 2 months ago, right? No.
2 months ago.
Did we have?
Yes, 2 months
Yeah,
ago.
2 months ago. How do we do this? Do the new people vote on that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, even if they weren't here to work.
Oh, gosh, that's a good question. Yeah, probably not, I guess. huh?
Nate's here now. Maybe we can ask him. But,
We have a question already for you. With the past board, with the past board minutes, with our new team members, do they vote? We didn't vote on those then. Okay, good question.
we've got 3 and 3 right now.
I think they can.
Okay.
They don't have to be here. They don't have to be in the minutes to have to vote on it.
And I do have a printed copy, so maybe if everybody just wants to take a couple
Okay.
minutes to glance through it, then we can.
Read too quick, I'm gonna take a look around.
Yep. So typically we would check it, make sure there was no changes to be made. Sailor does good at it,
I try.
so we usually don't have to.
Sometimes there's a typo.
All right, if anyone's, whenever someone's ready, I'll entertain a motion. to
I'll motion
approve.
to approve the December minutes.
Okay, we got a motion. Anyone want a second?
I'll second.
Okay. So we've got a motion and a second, so we'll vote. All in favor of approving the minutes as is? Say aye. All opposed? Okay, that passes. All right, moving on to the reports. So Christie's report.
So I printed a copy to have in front of you as well. I just want to make sure that as I'm going through some updates of what has been going on for the last month or two and what's coming up, that we allow for an open discussion through this as well. Just so, I'll just kind of pause through each one. If there's any questions, please feel free to do so. The first thing I wanted to note was that sponsorships are open right now for our Park and Rec programming. We have had really a great response from the community. I'm just so pleased with that and the support that's being shown. In order for sponsors, if they want to have their logo to be included on the spring soccer shirts, the deadline would be this Friday. I could probably squeak in a Monday sponsorship on that too, but then I'll be placing those orders for that as well. But we've had, and I hope I'm not missing anybody, I was just re-looking at my spreadsheet, but we've had Nielsen Construction, Benson Remodeling, Stockwell Engineers, Chevy Baseball Softball Association, Security Bank, Big Iron, Cairo Sport, MRG Hoff, which is formerly Dakota Lettering, First Interstate, Lennox Insurance, Saddle Up, and Red Beard Construction, as well as one family unit that was able to sponsor us, Brian and Angie Zerpel. So I'm just very happy with that, and I'm looking forward to continue growing programs with those sponsorships. So anybody else who's interested, or if you have, folks that you might think, whether it's on the business side or, a family unit that would want to support, please help to share that here in the next couple days. Any questions on that? Okay. There is a tab on the website, so anybody interested in looking at the sponsorship levels, there's a sponsor tab. And it outlines the different options as well as kind of the benefits of the sponsors in terms of logo placements and things like that. And then each of those that I listed and any other sponsors will get all of those logos up on the website here in the next week or two as well. So, moving on to youth recreation updates. It's a busy time of year coming up here. So we had a very successful winter youth pickleball session. Robert and Becky and a couple other community volunteers were able to help us volunteer with that. We had 18 participants, so it was a series of 3 Tuesdays for a couple hours, and it was just a lot of fun. I was able to go to the first one and help a little bit at one of the others, but primarily 5th through 7th graders. It was open to high schoolers, and I think at this point in time they're kind of busy and that sort of thing, and hoping that we'll be able to maybe capture some of their interest this summer. So spring soccer registration is officially closed with 118 participants, and I'll be placing those jersey and supply orders very soon, and we'll be then working on the rosters and all of the game scheduling and that sort of thing, and those will be made available to coaches and participants hopefully the second week of March. Games are going to run from March 28th to May 2nd.
Do you still run like a clinic for coaches and things like that at the beginning of the year?
So last year, we did have kind of a quick meeting. I had a little PowerPoint with just some of the general rules that I'll hopefully be updating and take feedback from coaches that we had last year. And it was just kind of a chance for coaches to visit with one another, those that have done it before, and kind of what worked well. And so we plan to do that same thing too, yeah.
Having coached it, one of the things that I notice every year is rule changes between And I'm pretty easygoing about it,
Yeah.
so, yeah, whatever you guys wanna do is fine, but sometimes we do a goalie, sometimes we don't, sometimes we
Okay.
have five, some, you know. And I don't know if that would be a good idea to look into, like, so everyone knows exactly how it's intended to be ran.
And then stick to
Oh,
it.
or
Yeah.
if we're open to the other way, that's fine, but I know people always ask, and I'm like, I missed the meeting last year, so I wasn't really sure. And I just go along with it, you know,
Right.
I don't know the rules of
Yeah,
soccer or
yeah.
anything.
Does
so.
it go through 5th grade? Is that the
I was
oldest?
gonna ask too.
It goes through
4th grade?
Fourth.
fourth,
I thought they was just 4th grade.
yeah, and flag football goes through sixth.
Yeah, I wouldn't, I don't, like, that was my sport in college, I don't think it's safe having 4th graders in the goal, playing goalie with concussions and.
The rules that
We're-
I followed, that I tried to, put together in that PowerPoint, I really took a look at the Dakota Alliance Soccer
Yeah.
and tried to go in line with that, so that's what it was
Okay.
kind of modeled
Okay.
after. I also visited with Jacob at T, and so kind of tried to follow
Okay.
I kind of cross-referenced with a couple different places to try to come up with kind of what seemed to be standard kind of
Okay.
best practices according to the ages, so, yeah. But
So
I
I
could send that PowerPoint if anybody's interested in looking, just to see if I can make it a little bit more clear, if there's, places where it was like, oh, this one was kind of a little bit tricky.
A long time ago, I'm so old, Tina Butte and I used to do like a clinic for the coaches at the
Oh,
beginning of
cool.
the year with explaining basic rules,
Mhm.
things like that. I'm not opposed to doing something
Are
like
you
that
all
again.
free?
Yeah, I am.
That would be really helpful.
Write your name
Because
down.
trying to coach in
That'd
the
be
past,
awesome.
I don't know anything about
Yeah.
soccer.
Yeah,
I'd like
It
to
would be
watch
really
the other
helpful.
team.
Yes,
and,
exactly.
we
Yeah.
can try that.
because I do think
Order
that there's
kick
people
out.
that are interested in stepping up and helping out, but maybe don't have that soccer background, it's kind of intimidating, right?
Yeah.
So-
Especially with talks of like it turning into a high school,
Exactly.
high school
Yes.
soccer, it'd be nice if there was a
Yeah,
funnel through.
Yes.
I'm absolutely, yeah,
awesome. Nate helped me out last year some, because he has a soccer
Yeah, yeah.
background too,
He
but
was
we
really
can work together. Thank you, appreciate that.
Do you know how many older kids we had sign up this year? Are we gonna have the same predicament as last
I
year?
have not run the numbers yet, so that's on my rest of the week list, is to get those sorted out, and fingers crossed.
What was that, only 3
We
teams
had
or
3
something?
teams, so then every other week, one team didn't play at all, I
Mm.
think was the original schedule, and then all the parents kinda came together and like ended up mashing up whatever team wasn't playing, divided between the 2 teams that were playing, and then we just subbed more frequently, so everybody still got to play every weekend.
that's great.
And that was on the Big Net one?
I think
Or-
so,
okay.
yeah, it was the 4th graders.
Okay.
Because then I think the one year, maybe the year before that, they were doing them like playing 2 games, and that got to
Okay.
be a lot.
Yeah.
Did you have refs?
I think we
Somebody
did
ref-
that in our
Just
grade,
coaches.
in our
Okay.
age level
Okay.
last year.
Yeah,
Where I think we only had one day where we had to do
right,
that.
had a double, but yeah.
And I can't remember why, it must have
Yeah.
been
Odd numbers or
5
something.
kids
Yeah.
or something.
Boy, do
Or
I
5
love when the
teams.
amount of teams just work out perfectly.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, this is a dream. Just like back in the teaching days, and you have a even number, and you can split them into all different kinds of groups, yeah. But yeah,
And that's another thing, like if we're only playing 4 kids, I think our team had 6 or 7 on it.
yes,
You're like
You can
a,
make any number.
Yeah. no, that was right, but like, I don't know, maybe chopping one off from each team to make that final
or
team.
something, yeah.
Although there are, soccer, usually there's kids that are gone,
Yeah.
and so then you
Right.
run into that risk too, but.
I'll run that, and then maybe just before we make final decisions, then maybe kick it over, you guys take a peek if that works, and, okay?
Did you have like teams of 11 with the older kids or?
I think they were still smaller. What was the
Okay.
It
question?
was still a smaller
What were
field.
the team
Okay.
Right.
sizes for the older kids?
I think the field was the same size as the younger kids. The nets were just bigger.
The,
So I don't-
this last year for fall, we actually made a bigger field, that was the first time that we had done
It
that
was
for that
bigger.
old, yeah.
Okay,
Mhm.
I
That was the
remember
first
that
year.
last spring too, because then
Yeah.
we were busy during the fall, so I
Yeah.
didn't think about that, but.
but I don't think there were 11.
Okay.
Yeah, there definitely was an 11.
Okay.
Okay. do some more checking. That's a main priority or the remainder of the weekend or early next week for sure, so. Awesome. Okay. Softball and baseball. That registration deadline is March 4th, so please help spread the word. We're at about maybe 40-ish registrations for each of those two. I would say, like with soccer, a couple weeks out, it was about the same. The last couple weeks of registration is really when people are like, oh, I gotta get to that, type thing, so I'm not concerned about that. But, yeah, just helps to keep spreading the word on that. And then we will be having meetings with the league organizers in terms of, representatives from each community for baseball and going over some rules and those sorts of things and getting game schedules lined up and so on and so forth. So hopefully we'll be able to announce rosters mid-April and get going on the season, so. We did for T-ball, just as a reminder, for a conversation with this group and the support, we are gonna bump T-ball back. So we're gonna go June 29th to July 28th. That'll free up some of that T-ball field for potentially more practices for our youth baseball and softball programs. There was a couple neighboring communities that ended up moving it and they said it worked fine, so we thought we'll give that a shot and see how it goes. So that registration will be open for a bit yet because of that until May 8th. And then we added on the tiny tees, which are the little 4-year-olds. There won't be any actual ball games played. It'll just be more of a show up and do little skill things and have it be a fun experience for them, so.
That's a cute name. I like Tiny Tees.
Oh, good. That's adorable. I was like, AI, give me some names for a little 4-year-old.
Take the credit.
Credit, Christy.
I'm like, oh, I kind of morph these two. I'm like, oh, tiny tees, we're gonna do that one. It's fun.
Will that
yeah.
be weekends, do you think, or will that,
No, we're
Now
gonna
we'll
try
be
to
able-
move, I have it on my website. Well, I went back and forth on that too, but we did move it from Sundays. I think we're gonna do like Mondays and Tuesdays or Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Don't mark my words on that. I think maybe Mondays and Tuesdays.
so it'll be a little later, a little
Yeah.
cooler maybe,
Yes, yeah.
too?
Right, because those Sunday afternoons got really smoking hot. A couple of those days. I think we canceled one, didn't we? If I remember
think so.
right. Yeah. So that'll be good. Summer recreation, that is also going to be a main priority for me in the next couple weeks. Just to try to get some of that planning continuing to go. We'll do some of the same things because it was very successful last summer. And then adding on, as a reminder, we did that community rec survey, if you will, with some of the interests and adding in some of the younger age groups, some of the older, and really try to have a good variety. So I've got my work cut out for me to line up. It's really gonna be important to have community volunteers able to take on some of I'll do the organization side of it and work with the community volunteer to help, put that on. I think in the community our size, that's gonna be what continues to make us successful in our town, so.
We continue to have like rec assistants helping out with things like
Yes,
that,
yep,
but primarily ran by community volunteers.
right,
Got
as the lead volunteer, right, and then the
Similar to
support
last
of,
year then.
yep, yep, yes. And then flag football, that registration is also open, which seems very early, but some of the other programs already have registration open, so we wanted to make sure that we were open as well. So that deadline is July 8th, open to grades K through 6, so, of next year, fall, so. On the adult recreation side, we've got spring indoor pickleball for adults and high schoolers. I think we're up to 9 or 10 teams right now, which is about what we were last year as well. Robert and I have been visiting with Casey Shade over our activities director, and so we're gonna be able to use the new Ox Gym for that. So I think that'll be a nice space, and we're gonna be able to, that tape came in, by the way, put down some temporary tape that's not gonna have any residue and that sort of thing, to have that be a good space there. And they have some nets that we're able to utilize, and so we're very appreciative of their partnership there. So registration for that closes this Friday, so if you have any interest. I'm still trying to convince my husband.
What nights are those?
So that's Sunday evenings.
What-
Mhm.
starting
Like
at
5,
March, or-
starting at 5, I think we have from 5 till 8, I believe. So it'll be games at either 5, 6, or 7 on Sunday.
And it's just
And if
it's just mixed teams.
So you'd sign up with a
Can be,
partner?
yeah, it can be
Yeah.
mixed doubles, it can be whatever.
Okay.
Mhm.
But if I sign up, I have to play Robert.
If you play. Yeah.
Would you have a competitor and,
It's, yeah, so there's like
And
a
a
rec
rec
and a
level.
competitively, but
Mhm.
competitive isn't like all that. I mean, as long as you know what you're doing, you're mildly athletic, you can play in it competitively. You know, 42 years old, you can, so,
What are the dates for that? Is it set yet?
yeah.
yes. Why didn't you put that in there?
It's not this
Pickleball's hot. I could see that picking up. Is this the first? This is the first indoor one.
For this year, we've ran indoor pickleball for, I think, the last I think this will be the 4th season of indoor spring pickleball. The outdoor summer one that we'll talk about next is gotten to be really, really, really big in regards to community participation with that. This is all smaller for whatever reason, I don't know why.
Mhm. I'm not finding it on here.
That's
I'll
okay.
have to go back and look at that. Yeah, so that's exciting. And then for summer pickleball, last year we were able to squeak one more year out of our tennis courts. That surface is.
It's March 15th to May 10th,
Thank you.
from 5 to 8 p.m. All Sundays, except for Easter.
So as of recently, the courts are just continuing to be in pretty bad shape. We were able to get 4 to 5 pickleball courts on the tennis courts last year, but it looks like there's only maybe 2 that are gonna be doable,
One
if we're
at, yeah,
lucky.
2 at best, likely more than one.
So, we're gonna have to improvise and have continued conversations over at the high school. I think there was a lot of interest in keeping it at the parks. It's kind of a fun feel. We've got kids swimming and playing ball and people
Community
coming
band on
and going.
Wednesday nights, there's just a lot of,
Yes, a
yeah.
lot of fun things happening, but also those are really great facilities and we just have to go with what we have at this point in time. And of course, the condition of the pickleball court, I'm sure will be something that will be discussed within the master park planning process and that sort of a thing too, so, yeah. So registration for that, will be open here for quite a few more
What,
weeks, so.
was it, we had 27 teams last year, right?
Mhm.
Is that what it was? Yeah.
Yeah, it's growing, so.
Are there grants we can chase for that?
There are, it's just a matter of, so with the master park planning process, right? So if there's certain priorities that may come out of that and we apply for a grant prior to that process that could qualify for several different projects and we're selecting this one now. So I think we just need to probably wait to see what comes out of that, to see where those priority areas are. I used to kind of work in the grant world at United Way, and so I know, for example, the community the size of Lenox, if you go apply at
Yeah.
Wellmark or, some of those places, it's probably, not to say you can't ever reapply, but there's some where they really want to kind of spread the support that they're giving to different communities. We'll have to be cognizant of that and that sort of thing, so, but yeah. So,
It's not a cheap fix, unfortunately, because
Yeah.
they can't be resurfaced again. They've been resurfaced so many times, and the last time it was done to the last year before the tennis courts were built, and they guaranteed 1 year. This will be the 4th year
oh wow.
that or 3rd year since they've done that, so we've gotten 2 years more than what they guaranteed. Completely needs to be torn up with all new foundation and
So it's asphalt underneath, it needs to be concrete, so they need to completely, needs to be
I wanna
done
say-
if we choose to go that route. So.
That was built with the grant as well.
Yeah, this
Didn't that
resurfacing.
affect
Oh.
even like the initial,
Oh,
did that affect having it removed?
I'm not sure.
Okay,
Yeah, I don't know the history on that.
probably a joint between, I bet there wasn't high school tennis at that point, though.
Yeah,
High school
no, it
tennis
was-
Yeah,
yeah, a long time ago.
yeah.
I don't remember, I
Anyway,
don't need to worry about it.
it's a.
But if you hear of any, I got a spreadsheet just kind of started with different, grants, so as we go through this process, we can kind of know, the qualifications or the different scopes of work that the grant is interested in helping support. And I know you had mentioned one, I'll have to get with you on that.
Yeah, there's a webinar tomorrow at 11 about
Oh,
what are the opportunities are gonna be. So
would
I'll
you
forward
mind?
it to you.
Okay,
Yeah.
thanks.
Yeah.
That'll actually work for me, so. Awesome. Any other questions on that? No? Okay. With the recreation for seniors, this has just been something that I feel that I don't have a good understanding of. I'm not from Lennox originally. We've lived here, 6 years now, I guess. And, you know, my folks and my grandparents, they're all out of state and that sort of a thing. So, I went down to the senior center a couple Fridays ago and visited with one of the leads who helps with the Meals on Wheels program and some of the other activities, and just learned a little bit more about what they currently have going on. And I said that the city would be very interested in helping to spread the word on what they currently do to try to, you know, increase numbers for the activities. But then also, they invited me to come join for a meal and just sit and visit about some of the ideas that they might have, and if there's some things that we can do as Parks and Rec program to help that population. So I'm excited about that. I also met with Active Generations in Sioux Falls, just to talk about some potential partnerships that they do serve rural communities, and they have different grants that allow them to do that. And so there were a couple ideas kicked around. I won't go into detail, but just kind of getting the conversation started. So if any of you have ideas, or you know of some people, you know, retirees or all the way up, just let me know and we can keep the conversation going. So, new board members, so excited to have you all. Just a quick update on Emerald Ash Borer. At least since 2024, if not the year before, we realized we were affected with EAB, the Emerald Ash Borer. So at that time, there was a tree inventory that was done in terms of how many were in real rough shape, decent shape, that sort of a thing. So after that time, this last year, we were able to take down and remove 150 of the ash trees in the right-of-ways and a couple in the parks. So that leaves somewhere over 100 more yet that would need to come down in the next few years in the right-of-ways. There has not yet been a ton of discussion about what our approach needs to be for private properties. So I didn't realize I'd be learning so much about EAB, but I was able to talk to a lot of people from, so I'm part of the South Dakota Parks and Rec Association, and there's a group of people that have been very helpful just to learn what other communities are doing. They're sending me what their kind of response plans are, some of their city ordinances. Matt was very willing to sit and talk to me for quite some time about all of this and what their response has been. He's very involved with that in the city of Sioux Falls and that sort of a thing, and then have visited with Sam Kezar with Aspen, and he was able to do that initial assessment for us. So we've got some estimates back from him in terms of where we might be able to go moving forward in terms of what our options are, and so I'm gathering up some of that information, and some of that will potentially come here or may go just, you know, straight to city council for review of what the approach needs to be there, so.
Is there a limit to how many times you can treat, or you can keep, and as long as it's working,
Yep,
you can
every,
keep it going?
every 2 years. and
Okay,
the tree will be just fine, so.
but that's kind of expensive?
Depends on the arborist. I mean, it could be anywhere from $15+ an inch, diameter inch of tree. So if you start getting into a 30-inch plus tree, you're for a couple of years.
So you just do the bottom?
They
bottom of
inject it.
Oh, inject,
So, yeah,
okay.
injection is the best result, so.
Okay.
Has
I have no
96, 97% efficacy rate or higher. So
Okay.
it just depends who did the application, so.
And is
Def-
that, sorry,
No, go ahead.
is that for the life of the tree then?
And so the thought is that once you have all of the non-treated trees removed, then all you're left with is treated trees. And then when your female bugs land on the tree to feed on it, it kills them, and then you reduce the population. So John Ball, SDSU forester, he thinks that at some point you might be able to get to every 6 years treating. Not verified, but it's a thought. So, and it makes sense because you're gonna have, your population will get knocked down. at some point. At some point, they might find that tree, but if you keep up with the treatments, you should be okay. Expensive, but do you like the tree or not? So you're basically buying time.
We have a current tree ordinance, a tree nuisance ordinance, or I don't have it all printed in front of me, but, the difficulty is, the trees that are affected, there's certain signs, you know, that it can be assessed to see if it's in bad shape, potentially unsafe, right? And that sort of a thing could cause damage.
Right.
The more difficult shape it gets, the more danger it is to take
Yes.
down, the more expensive it is to take down. And so there's just a lot of community education that needs to happen on that, and kind of decisions on what our recommendations are to the city and potential mandates that there might be to the city. It's an estimate that Sam was able to do, just kind of based on national trends at the times in which these ash trees would have been planted, but an estimated 800 to 900 ash trees on private property here in the city of Lennox, so, yeah.
And it will move fast across the city too. So you can go about anywhere and find signs of it, so.
And those homeowners may not even know it.
Right.
There was some community education, from my understanding, back before I started in 2024, that it's kind of gonna be coming into watch, but I think the time is now to make sure that there's continued education on that, whatever it might look like,
The
so.
trick with that is too, we've had a couple drought years too, and that's had crown dieback, and so all the trees kind of look the same, and a lot of people don't know if it's an ash tree or a maple tree or what it is, so everything just looks like it's in poor condition from the drought, and they don't realize that those first symptoms are starting.
Yeah, and the tornadoes coming through.
Yes, we've had lots of storm damage. I mean, go back to the derecho all the way through the high, I mean, we've had 60 and 70 mile an hour wind days in December. You know, last night our houses were rocking too, so
Mm-hmm,
tree branches were still falling.
yeah,
We wouldn't have known we had an infected tree if Sam didn't stop by the house and tell us. We couldn't have, so.
mhm. Yeah, so more conversation to happen.
Yeah, the good news is, I mean, once it's infested, it's not dead and falling that year typically. It's kind of a progression depending on how many bugs are in that tree. Once that vascular tissue's cut off all the way to the base, then the tree's unstable and there's no coming back. And generally speaking, 30 to 50% decline, you're not gonna treat that tree because A, you have the expense of that, plus you still need to prune out all the dead wood to remove that risk of falling because you have 25% of the structural integrity of that, each limb that's dead, and it still has all the weight. So once you have an arborist come in, take all that out, plus treat it, you're at the cost of removal and replacement at that point. So that's my messaging to people anyways when we speak
Yeah.
about that, so
Mhm,
strip the Band-Aid off and
Mhm.
move on.
yeah. Okay, more to come on that, so. Just moving back through, we do have job openings currently open. We've got the lifeguard, application open, and the seasonal groundskeepers. The recreation assistant is set to open later this week or early next week.
The
And then
link
I'll
is, the link is live on the website to click on that to print out the application. It's the same one.
Yeah,
I
it's
see
the
that.
same one as the fillable, perfect, yeah. Is the job description on there as well?
I don't know, but when you look at the website, it looks like it's open.
Great. I just had told Jess anytime from this time to this time, she's right on top of it, so good deal, perfect. I am still continuing to look at with the rec assistant, so last year we, did have some staffing of our concession stands. I know I've told you all this before, but the concession stands just does not bring a lot of money, especially when we don't have currently any tournaments planned. So I'll still be looking at that, whether we staff that or just try to go back to a volunteer basis on that as well, so. Just a quick update per the city council request. Drew and I have been looking into robotic mowers and, kind of whether that would be a good add to the fleet that we have. I don't need to go into a ton of detail on that, but, council will be reviewing that at the next meeting. On the pool side of things, we've got our manager and our assistant manager currently going through lifeguard training as we speak and this weekend, so that'll be great. I talked to Brittany, she was already excited about the things she was learning and is excited to put together training plans, additional things, and so that's been fun. I also have attended a South Dakota Aquatics Roundtable, and there's a Nebraska one coming up as well, so really have a lot of contacts now in the world of pools, so if there's like things that we can share with each other, whether it's emergency plans or handbooks or what you do for your whistle blows, you know, there was just a ton of things that came out of that, and it was an open sharing process, and that'll be very beneficial, so. Social media planning, I have a draft plan created, and I've been working with Jess, up at the front desk office there, and, just to make sure that we're coordinating both with the Park and Rec Facebook page and the City of Lenox page. So we've kind of got it mapped out for the next several months to make sure that we're on track with making sure people know when registrations are opening, reminders of when they're closing, and have a little bit of fun posts and some pictures and that sort of a thing in there as well, so. Pedal Pals. We do have a couple of our long-term volunteers that have been doing it for years, and they're kind of stepping down from that. There's a couple new names that they gave us of other, 2 other gals that have been part of the process and will continue helping. But we always need some more volunteers that have that gardening experience to help out with that area. So it's just to the east of the pool there, you know. And so if you know of anybody, please help us spread the word. We need continual help with what needs to be done in the spring. Do we need to be spreading the preening, or, you know, keeping up on the weeds and all of the things. So I think last year we had a very difficult time finding volunteers, and by the end of the summer it really, you know, kind of showed, and we tried our best to keep up with it. I was up there helping when I could, but it really will take, that was actually created as a volunteer project, and so, you know, we don't have dedicated staff time to be able to continue on that, so we'll just be doing a call out to volunteers for that too, so. I received a message from Casey Shade. He wanted to openly invite, it's a public meeting, so anybody obviously can come, but he thought it would be great if anybody from the Park and Rec Board would want to be interested in going to the high school soccer meeting. There's just going to be a preliminary discussion on March 2nd at 6 at the high school, just to talk about kind of where they're at with that planning, what the questions are from the community, and part of the interest then would be talking about facility usage and kind of what the needs are and any partnerships that might be able to take place now and in the future, so. The facility use agreement, I redid that sheet just to make sure we can have more fields in there in terms of contact information. So mainly they're used for those that are going to be renting the swimming pool, and then also the ball field. So for example, LBSA will be putting on a softball clinic, right?
Yeah,
Clinic.
camp.
Yeah, camp type thing, and so making sure that we have that facility use agreement done. It was reviewed by the legal counsel, and just I'm getting all of those up. So the high school softball, the high school baseball, I'll need to submit that. So working through that process with each of them. One thing that has come up a few different times here that I wanted input from the group as well is that within our policies and procedures that were approved a couple months ago now, the current policy states that our facilities are free of charge at the city's discretion for teams and organizations with approximately 75% or more of people residing in the Lenox school district. It does sometimes get to be difficult when I'm the one in charge of like trying to make sure that everybody can have their practices for baseball and softball and that sort of a thing. As you all know, so last year there was a baseball group that was not associated with the city of Lenox that used that, and they went through the channels with me to make sure that they were signing up, you know, for practice times. So I was able to give a practice time to each of our city registered teams, but there were times in which, like, let's say Steve's team, for example, maybe wanted a second night. And so it becomes difficult from my perspective to know. So if the city program in the policy, it's city programs, then it's other youth programs get the priority, and then it's other programs like such as amateurs or, you know, adults or whatever. And so when we're talking about they get priority, that can be difficult to know, how that works. And there is another group this year, from my understanding, I think maybe a 9U team that might be of baseball that might be gathered, that's in addition to our rec programming. And so there's been some people kind of asking in terms of, as a city, do we need to look at, should it be free of charge for everyone? Should we be considering a charge for some entities if it's not within, the programs that we're offering? I just wanted to get some initial feedback. We're not gonna be voting or anything, it's just kind of do I need to be doing some more looking at, what options there are, what other communities are doing, if there's, a charge and.
So I look at it like this, so if we're playing in the Lennox rec, we pay, let's say, I don't remember what it was, $125. Some of that has to go towards using the field and stuff like that, not all of it by
Right.
means. But if there's a team with let's say, 10 kids, is there a certain cost that they could pitch in as well?
Yes, yeah.
Where it's not a huge amount, but something that, okay, my kids had to pay for it, or
Right,
our kids
as
had
part
to
of the
pay for it.
registration cost.
And now they're getting it almost free,
Mhm.
where we're paying it almost with the registration. So that would be my thought. I don't know that it needs to be a huge cost, but something that would make it fair to everybody.
Yeah, for the upkeep and to make
And
sure that it's being
To
groomed
be able
and
to
charged
communicate
and-
with you, that kind of thing. That's my thought. I mean, I don't wanna, they're doing what they're doing and that's fine. But I do think there's a little bit of cost that can be
Makes sense.
put to the city because we're dragging the field, or, after their practices or something like that.
Every time you use a field, there's a cost.
Yeah.
Whether that's on pitching rubbers, home plates, bases, anchors, ag line even migrates when you use it. So there has to be some kind of cost recovered from that.
Yeah, I'd agree. I mean, do you know what other local cities do, like what Sioux Falls does or Harrisburg? with
I do
those
not.
kids letting
I don't, so
non-city
that's,
sponsored teams play there?
and so that's something I could take a look at too.
I talked with T at one point last year, and they had a formal application process just for field usage.
Okay,
Then it had to get voted on by their park and rec board
Okay.
and approved, and then at that point, they would discuss fees. But they didn't even have openings to approve, or even they were just don't even apply, we don't have any openings.
Because of the amount of rec teams that they were supporting there. And to me, that makes sense, that it would be a kind of wait and
And
see. And it's shifted over the years, I know, and when our sons were younger, there wasn't a lot of that, and there's becoming more and more of non-revenue teams. So,
I think the other thing would be, I don't know, I know they start practices earlier, and that's when nobody's on it. But then when we start practice, between practice and games, it works really well because no one has games. So I know my time is gonna be open. Once games start,
right.
it gets a lot more difficult. That's where it would be nice to be able to lock up a new time. If you were in a time where the next 5 Thursdays, the field's being used, I need a different time. That's where it'd be nice to be able to go and check that again, for the city-sponsored teams. Give them that chance to go back and fill in a time that maybe works better for them.
Yeah, that's
Because
a good
I
idea,
know I was on a Friday,
too.
and I think one of the other teams was on a Friday. But Friday was also the only day that there wasn't games.
yeah.
Right,
And so that sometimes was the only time there was a field opening at night.
yeah.
So,
Or even, I remember, I picked a day, and then realized that was the night we would actually play.
Yeah,
And so I was like, oh, now I don't have practice time, so then we just picked up a second one and went to Worthing.
yes.
and I,
Chancellor, sorry.
I know our league told us at the meeting, they said they were gonna try to do Monday and Wednesdays. Well, they
That
didn't
didn't
do that.
happen. Yeah.
And so that's where
Yeah.
it kinda,
Yeah, that's one of my
And
main
that's-
questions for the league, actually, and there are some communities that tell the league that we only want home games on this day and this day, and I was gonna visit with you or other baseball, softball coaches, just to see, you know, what that would look like. I tried to map out how many games that there typically is over the course of the time, like I've got this weird little spreadsheet over here, but like, it's making sense in my brain, but I wanna make sure that somebody else is looking at it. But to see if we can move to that, cause then what we could do is have 2 practices a week, one on like what would be a game day, so before games begin, right, then there would be those 2 practices, but then at least when games start, you still have that other one, you know, or whatever, was kind of my thinking behind it, but I'm gonna need somebody to look to see if the way I have it mapped out is actually functionally gonna make sense, so.
and with T-ball not being,
Right,
that will open that field up
Yes.
for practices with at
Right.
least the younger kids.
Yeah. yeah.
Older kids could probably practice
Yeah.
on it too, so that will help.
Mhm. And I
as
did
well,
talk
so
with
it might not
Chancellor, and
be-
we're able to use theirs again, they thought it worked great, that we kind of had our spreadsheet and Google's, you know, doc or whatever. And then depending on what happens with Worthing and the amount of teams that they have and practices that they have, we were able to potentially use a couple nights a week on one of their fields as well. So we've got some options, but it's quite a puzzle piece to put together, so. Okay, so back to, any other thoughts just in terms of the facility use, the amount or the fee? Like I said, it currently says free of charge. I'm hearing just some preliminary, like there should probably be, because there is input costs, staff time.
I
all
think
sorts of
looking
things.
into T's procedure that they're utilizing
Okay.
and even contacting a Hartford or,
Mhm.
you know, just some other communities to see how they handle requests like that. I just, my feeling is it, you know, it'd be nice because, you know, they're still members of the community, right?
Right.
And we'd like places there, but also, I think, you know, ensuring that the kiddos who are paying Parks and Rec
Mhm.
have ample time to grow in their skill and opportunities to play. It should be, in my mind, should be a priority, but I think you exploring different options.
And if I remember right, West Central Baseball Association, it has like the management of the fields in Humboldt and Hartford.
That sounds right.
Okay.
So it wouldn't probably
Same
be a
for Parks and
city
Rec, so it
thing.
wouldn't be a Hartford thing there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But
Got
if you were looking for someone, and I think they've got their, what is it, their policy online somewhere.
Mhm.
And I looked, and I don't remember what it was. But it was similar that we had the city-sponsored teams go first, and then the others will, I don't remember what it was.
Right.
If they had to pay or not. I'm not completely for making it for a cost that makes it unusable for other people.
Yes. Mhm.
I just, something fair would be good, I think, and I think that's kind of what everyone else is saying.
Okay, thanks for the direction, that helps a lot. On baseball specifically, I just also wanted to touch on a policy thing. So currently it says in there that for the tryouts for the 10U and the 12U tournament team that is city sponsored, annual tryouts are conducted and evaluated by third-party evaluators. So for the last, when I came on board, I kind of had done what was done the year prior, which was to hire kind of a contract with a couple, I think there were 4 college baseball players to run the tryouts and that sort of a thing. I think it went okay. I think, in my opinion, it would be better to continue with third-party evaluators, but have it be local volunteers. We can save on cost, we can have volunteers that are part of the baseball community, but that don't have any kids at that age or any ties and that sort of a thing. I would love to pair up kind of like, you know, some baseball moms or dads that are a little bit old, their kids are older now, with maybe some former players, potentially Drew as the high school baseball coach. He said he'd be willing to if that's something that we move forward with. So that's what my plan is. I still feel like I'm following policy and saying that it's third party. I would make sure that whoever says yes to this in terms of the evaluators would maybe look at the list and be like, yeah, I don't feel like I'm biased towards, you know, any of those. But I just wanted to make sure that that felt like that was still under the intent of what the policy had stated, because I wasn't here when that was decided, so. Yeah, okay. I think it'll give us just an ability to make sure that those tryouts are set up in a way that, yeah, okay, very good,
I got 2 questions.
yes,
Last year, umpires, we
yes,
did a training for them as well.
yes,
But I know in the past, we've talked about trying to get like a registered ump or a certified ump to come down, you know, just go over some of the
Yeah.
basics of it. Even like how to deal with parents that are chirping. I know Robert does a really good job at it, but Robert's older, you know, so just something like that. I don't mean that in a bad way. I just saw him put a stop to it right away,
yeah,
and we've seen others where
Yeah.
it just gets going a little too
Little out of
long,
hand.
and,
mhm,
so we had talked at one time about having a certified ump come in, kind of go over like a training, like for an hour. And then we had talked even about maybe increasing the cost or the price that we pay for those people. Like if they go through that certification program, like Brandon Valley has shirts that show they're certified umps. They went through the Brandon Valley Baseball Association certification program.
okay,
And then I think they get paid a little extra for doing that. And I think that would just be something that would, you know, if people are interested, it pays maybe $5 more a game or whatever, but, and I think we get a better, not that they weren't bad, just,
yes,
there's always room for improvement.
absolutely, yeah,
I think if we can educate them,
mhm,
I don't love the idea of a kid less than 16-year-old behind the plate. Just from what I've experienced, it's silly
mhm,
with parents and, you know, that things that kind of happen and putting kids in a position where they have to, you know, make a tough decision. Just watching that a couple different times was pretty uncomfortable, so, and I do know it makes it difficult. I don't know what you had for kiddos that were wanting to, you know,
we
do
haven't
that
opened
last
it
year.
up yet, but we had probably between 15 and 20 total, you know, kids that wanted to some of them never did.
Right.
You know, so it just kind of depended. And we had quite a few that were just kind of our more unusual ones and that sort of a thing. But I do think that was our first try at it, you know, you guys,
Yes,
we
yep.
and it was kind of a little bit of a last minute, so I do think that we could have that training for everybody and not have it be a certified, but just kind of make that a little bit more robust and more planning involved with that, go over some scenarios. B, I want to make sure that, and I have it on my list to contact the high school softball coach to really recruit softball players that know the rules, because they're, you know, it's different, right? And we had a couple last year that,
Boys like to do it because you make more money. Because you can ump 3 games in a night as opposed to
Oh.
2 games in a night.
oh,
So,
got
because
it,
they softball games don't last as long.
okay.
So you can, when you were like, the kids, that's what they would rather do. They'd rather softball games because you get paid
I felt like we
$150 a
struggled a
night.
little bit more finding softball this year, but,
I also think too, and you and I kind of
Mhm.
talked about this, like really looking at the applicants and the amount and moving away from a self-schedule model where they're scheduled out for that, and if you can't make it, the expectation is that you find somebody to sub for you as opposed to a, you know, because I think what happened last year is there's opening, kids sign up, and with zero regard to availability, and it led to some, you know, who's gonna come. That's when
yeah,
that's
then
the only time I
Robert
ever
was coming every
yeah.
year.
is,
Last year, when we first sent it out, I just kind of said, stick to only signing up for a handful for now until everybody, you know, has a chance to go through. And there were definitely a lot of you know, after 24 hours of it being open, there were definitely slots for people to be able to go and grab. So I don't feel like it was like,
Yeah.
totally, you know, monopolized like that. I did try to send out reminders,
Mhm.
to them, and there were a couple times that somebody, didn't show or they forgot they had something, but it was actually pretty minimal, from my understanding compared to prior years.
It was
I think.
better last year than what it
Mhm.
has been in years past, but I'm just wondering, like, if we're opening and having applications, do you
Right,
start to move to treat it like you would
a
any other
regular
job?
summer
Like,
job
there's
or
no,
whatever.
like, outside of nurses, I don't know of anybody who
Yeah.
self-schedules.
Yeah,
Like,
Like,
it's,
would it be better to have them email and say, these are the days I can't make it because I
Right.
got basketball?
just get
or
available,
this,
like we do
and
with
then-
lifeguards at the
Yeah.
pool
Yeah.
or whatever.
but then you'd have to limit it to a certain amount of kids, so
Right.
they can still be a viable, potentially option. But again, then they're in charge of
Yeah, I like that.
moving those things
Mm-hmm.
around, just,
Well, and then you have an opportunity to potentially pair up an older team with a younger one and
Yeah,
kind
you
of
could
schedule
be-
some of that a little bit too, and,
and have some, I think then really ideally move to some, like I said, some more criteria with age behind. I mean, I could be in the minority with that, maybe a training affects that, but
I did want to go back to the training though, so we'll definitely do that, we'll kind of increase that a little bit, but then I was talking to Shane Merrill with Parker, he's been a great baseball resource for me. And he loved the idea of kind of hosting our own training, he's like, well, maybe we could even partner together on that or whatever, but he also gives their umps an opportunity to go do the certification, and he's gonna send me like a link to wherever the
Great.
sign up is
Yeah,
for that,
and that's-
so, yeah,
That's great, because if they're going through the certification, I think that's
yeah.
a viable option for them in the future. And they're gonna be more bought in, I think.
Yeah,
Um,
well, and it's something that they can continue doing after they graduate,
Yeah.
I mean, it's a good kind of
For sure.
opportunity down the road too. Did you have a second thing?
The other volleyball, I don't think you said anything about volleyball.
No, I'm still working on
Okay.
dates, I'm still trying to,
Okay.
it's gonna be based a little bit on pickleball, cause I try to scaffold it a little bit so that people can potentially
Okay.
play both, so that's coming, yes.
Perfect. That's all
Okay.
I had.
Anything else?
All right, we're good there. Then we'll move on to old business, the master park planning process.
We don't need to spend a ton of time on this, but just to recap, especially for our two new team members. So, city council approved us to move forward with that process with the help of, Stockwell Engineer. It was determined that this park board, in addition to a few additional members, will be basically serve as the park master planning process. And I think I had mentioned that to each of you already. So addition to all of you, we will have Casey Shade as a rep from the Lennox School District. Hopefully one of our city council members, I'll be contacting the three that serve on the Park and Rec Committee to see if one of them may be interested in kind of serving dedicated to this process as well. And then it was recommended to get somebody within the senior population to make sure that we're considering those needs across the community. So Big John Kirschner is gonna be, Nate was able to visit with him and he's on board to help us out with that too. So I was trying to get the terminology right with who's Big John on all the people, so. And I visited with him and he did say too that, Wednesdays work for him. So my thought, and I want to get feedback from all of you, that we would just stick with having it being tacked on, right? We have our park board meeting, we kind of end that, move into the master park planning process and kind of fit that in the same night. That makes sense to all of you? Okay. So at the next meeting, which would be March 18th, Stockwell will join us. We'll have kind of our kickoff meeting. They do want us to be somewhat prepared with some general priorities of what we want to get out of the process. I will send you an email prior to that to give a little bit more as to what we want everybody to be prepared with coming to that meeting. And then from there, basically, it's going to get going on it. So we'll be hosting 3 focus groups with stakeholders that hopefully will get input from all of you in terms of those specialized groups that we're doing. There'll be 1 public meeting as well. There's a tentative date, it's not solidified quite yet, but of March 26th, and that we'll be able to open that up. As soon as that's solidified, we'll get that published as many places as we can on that, so. And then the next phase basically is to do that statistically valid survey, moving into the inventory mapping, and then they'll be able to put forward the findings. Back in the back, I have the Del Rapids, like the final product, if anybody was interested in just taking a peek after the meeting, feel free to pick that up and take a look at it. I mean, you can take it home and bring it back to me if you want, that's fine too, but, so, any questions on that? Exciting.
Yeah, that's good. And what did we recommend a while ago, and the budget didn't have it yet.
Right,
so.
yes.
Perfect. All right, moving on to new business, the LBSA updates.
Well, that would be
Guessing that's
me.
you.
For the new ones tonight, I sit on the board for the Lennox Baseball Softball Association as well. And we have some funds that we were trying to figure out what we could do as like a community impact project. So being on both, I took a couple items that Park and Rec had previously wanted to see completed to them. We put together bat hangers for the dugouts and the 3 fields that don't have them. So we had Two Brothers Fabrication out of Lennox make these for us. We just got these last week. So we'll get those installed, I believe, as long as we get the green light on that. So that's the first thing I had. And then we're partnering with the shop or the building class at the high school, and they are going to put together a new T-ball shed for us. So we just voted on the materials getting ordered. I think I'm gonna work with Christy and Drew on placement after it's completed, but they'll build it out at the school, and then we'll have it transported over to the T-ball field. We are looking to update our sponsorship boards. I know right now we have some on the high school baseball concession. We'd like to replace those with like the glass cases and then have plexi go over the front of them to prevent damage. As long as we can get the A-OK to get those replaced. I think they get screwed into the concrete.
There's also a problem that the bats like to get behind in there, so we'll have to talk about
Okay.
installation and what our options are. I don't know if we can like spray some of that foam stuff back there, or we'll have to figure out what that looks like, but,
Okay.
Are you talking like the Grand Slam home run, that
Yes,
one?
so we wanna update those. We'll put all of the previous donors on the top so they don't disappear, and then all of the new donors, cause I think we're working on 2 years worth of sponsorships through the LBSA. So we'd like to make sure they get that recognition, so. But they were talking about ordering like the metal cases that get mounted for exterior, so they're solid metal with like the glass front. And then just having a plexiglass put over the front of the glass, so that way you don't have to worry about damage or breaking things there in the ball field.
that'd be nice too, yeah.
So that was a discussion. And then our ball poles on the softball field, we're probably gonna move forward with those as long as that's okay. We'll just get some 15-foot galvanized poles or steel poles with a cap. We're gonna paint it yellow, just like the other fields, and then have those set versus the rotten white wood ones that are out there now.
I'm gonna stop you real quick.
Yeah.
So does city council need to be reviewing like any improvements like this? Do we need to have things move forward?
Probably, because it's a capital improvement, even if it's a small one.
Okay,
Do you just want us to put together like a proposal? Perfect.
Yeah.
okay.
What kind of cost we're looking at?
Nothing.
No, I
LBS.
mean, what's the value of it?
Oh, for everything? We're probably.
Over 5,000?
Yeah.
Yeah, then we probably should.
Okay.
This will be, that's something we have to include in fix
Okay.
that.
Okay, we can work on a proposal.
Perfect.
Not a problem. And then I think the last thing that I had on there, besides the softball camp, for May 16th, we're looking to host that again on softball fields. We were talking about, or some discussions to do an equipment drive for like lightly used equipment. We could have it gathered or dropped off here. I would stop in routinely and pick it up, and then at some point, we would redistribute it, probably for just free will donations towards the LBSA, but then help people out there in the community too that need some gear for less expense, so. Those are the things that I've got.
Another question. So with our surplus process, so if LBSA is doing an equipment drive, we potentially have some equipment that's been gathered over the years that we don't need, we can potentially surplus
Yeah, we, you know, it's
to
just,
LBSA and then,
Did we do your 501c3? OBSA?
I wasn't on at that time. I don't know.
I think we did. We can surplus can get it to a nonprofit or other governmental unit, so.
okay. So that might help with our process, what we've got going on in the storage area right now too, so we'll be in touch on that.
Those are all, I think, good things.
Yeah, so, yeah.
Thank you.
Awesome.
That's it. Did you want to talk about the foul poles or not?
Why don't you just mention it, we'll get some initial feedback.
So I thought, looking back at minutes from a couple months ago, we discussed adding foul ball nets above the existing fencing. We got some bids to replace all of it with new poles and netting, very steep price tag. So we were looking at, possible solutions to just go above the existing fence. But we wanted to know if that's still a need that you guys think is a priority that needs to be addressed.
Like extending the backstops, is that what you're talking about?
So like on the softball field right now, the two backstop posts are really tall and then they put a net up.
Yep.
We would be adding, so that way we have first and third baselines
Got it.
as well, and then doing the same on the little league field.
There's a lot of foul balls that go behind. I mean, for baseball, so softball, I'm sure. And it does slow down play because if you've got a kid that hits two foul balls in a row, you might not have another game ball at the time.
I haven't seen a ton of softballs fly over that with the size of the field, but I know like baseball is pretty dangerous. Like you have to have your head on a swivel when you're walking between those fields over there, so I think looking to extend them, that makes absolute sense.
Can they do it where it looks good? Like, I just picture a fence and then a net on top of it, and it's, in my head, it's kind of,
Aesthetically,
yeah. But if it looks good, I don't mind that, or I like the idea of it.
We've just been
Or
going
do
back
we-
and forth trying to do a little brainstorming, and then we kind of resurfaced and we're like, is this even still something we want to tackle? Should I
Well,
be investing my time in it?
I know at one time, we had talked of spending our money on that too. But I know our money got cut a little bit, so I don't know where we'd be in that.
And with the cost estimates that came, that just wouldn't even be in the cards at all.
Oh,
for
okay,
us
so it
to
was that
get.
high.
I got estimates for just the poles they would match the big baseball field, and that quote for just the poles was $9,200. No netting, no tear out of the existing fence, no solution for fencing in front of the dugouts, because that would only go to the ends.
Do you need it that high?
No, but they have to go in the ground. X
Okay,
amount
so
of
it
feet.
doesn't matter how long the pole is,
Yes.
it's just putting them in.
well,
Okay.
then there's more fabric, the higher you go, that they would have to.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I mean, if you only had to go so far up, because the backstop's a lot closer, so it's gonna hit the net a lot more than at the baseball field, at the big one.
I know Sioux Falls has such a variety in, fields, but what's the kind of standard?
Well, the more like, league play fields, the tournament field stuff, those are all permanent. You know, the fabric is metal. Like down in Park where they have a bunch of softball play and stuff, those nets are all fabric for the most part, and they're just raised and lowered each year. It's kind of like you said, baseball, you're gonna get a lot more of those from there, and I've been there when you're dodging those things coming through, so it's actually more often than you think. And so, we're treating the ash tree that's in between there, that helps. When that thing's gone, then.
Yeah, I know, yes.
So, it's like Twinkle when we hit that.
It's like, oh, the kids from underneath.
But there's a couple different solutions there. I mean, yeah, you could plant a couple more trees, get those started, and then you could look for a temporary fix for the netting. And the nets are actually more expensive than you would realize. And lifespan of those isn't always good either, depending how they're stored, how much UV they hit, that kind of stuff. So you could be in the thousands for nets easily. And setting poles, through volunteers or city staff, that's maybe not the greatest thing because they're going to be huge poles to hold up to the wind and weather. So they'd have to be quite a ways in the ground too. But I'm trying to picture it exactly. I'd almost have to walk over there to get a visual again.
Okay, I had this pulled up earlier.
My terrible pictures from the wind
They were
yesterday.
terrible.
It was so windy, I was like, I'm gonna blow away.
Is it turning on?
It flashed. Something, no signal in the bottom maybe?
It wanted to turn on.
There.
The light went on.
We're on.
Yeah.
That's
There.
loud.
The red light turns on.
Oh, it wasn't a red, it was
It was-
blue.
Blue or
White,
yellow.
so I think it's,
There it is.
Yeah?
Try blowing it, Steve.
Yeah.
Or tapping the side.
twisty knobs.
Twisty nut.
What button did you push to get to the
Up.
input?
Push it again. Again. Good. Now, screen.
No, the guy, oh my gosh, picture him, he has an accent, he's so cute. You recorded? No? No?
It says it's, oh,
There we go.
I'm sure Becky's seen it. And well, she needs to watch it today.
Yes.
Yesterday.
So we already have the net there, I forgot.
Yeah.
Okay. So it just extend that.
The thought would be to add another pole over here by the dugout and then one on the other side, and then run 2 more chunks each way. The baseball field would be a little different because the backstop's a little different.
do we have that picture too? Did you send me that one?
Yes.
And just the posts, you said?
Yes, so to do what they did on the big field, they were 6 5/8 galvanized steel, 30-foot long. But the ones on the softball field that were holding that net, those are only 4-inch posts. And I was told they would be about half the price. Instead of needing 8 of them, because we were gonna do the whole thing, we would only need 4. So we'd cut the cost down to 1/4, at least for the posts.
1/4 of 9, you said, right? Is that what you're saying?
1/4 of the 8, of 9,200, yeah.
Got it.
So on this one, this is the Little League field, you can't hardly see it in that picture, but there's a post behind that section right there that's actually capped at about 6 feet up. And so on this side, we would have to weld an extension on, but then we could set a new post on the baseline side and same with the other. So that one would need 2 4-inch posts.
So you were looking to do this both softball and baseball, or just baseball?
Both.
I don't know why it's being so pokey.
We were just brainstorming with solutions for wanting some sort of foul ball net system, so.
I do think your question about like, what does it look like, you know, aesthetically, and will it look all, you know, pieced together? And then I talked to Drew, and one of the questions, and he wasn't sure either, but like, how old are these existing poles? And if you're welding a new, like, is that just safety wise? I don't know, like, maybe it's fine. I don't know anything about welding or how that looks, but something that we'd probably wanna.
Aesthetically, I think it would be fine.
Yeah, now that I see what it was,
It's gonna come down to the installation is gonna be the biggest hindrance to the whole project, I think, so.
There's the poles on the baseball backstop that were capped. And that doesn't mean we would have to weld those, we could drop 2 additional 4-inch posts there as well, if that's not going to work.
I think you'd be better off with a solid pole, personally. You start testing those welds in the storms and winds that we've experience, those are gonna be the first things
Makes
to
me a little
go.
nervous.
So when I brought a welder out there yesterday, he said he would actually put another piece of piping inside and then slide the top one over. So that way when he welded, there was a full piece of pipe inside for strength, but. And he didn't know what that would cost, so I
Yeah.
don't know what the price comparison would be that versus just a brand new pole either.
So would you go higher than this current fence? Like,
Like on the softball field, it's another 10 feet
yeah,
above
so you
what's
would do
there.
that on this too, you wouldn't level it off on that, okay.
No, I would say if we were gonna do it, we should just do
Yeah.
another 10.
I was gonna say, if you only do that little bit there where it goes down towards the dugout, that's probably not saving much.
Yeah.
But if we increase the height at the same time on that, I think that could be beneficial.
And just to be clear, your quotes were just for the post, not for the fabric.
Correct. I think Drew had sent me some posts for the netting, but that was full for the
Sure.
turf field.
Mhm.
So I don't know what those would be.
And you were looking at, like, were you looking for the fabric to be a net or fabric to be chain link?
A net. I don't think we would wanna do chain link all the way up there. It starts to get heavy
And then we would take that down
in the
in the
winter, yeah.
winter. Like they do at the baseball field. Okay.
Is that what they do at Sioux Falls?
Quite a few of them come down every year, yeah.
It's netting, but the
Besides
fabric
those
is
big
net.
tournament fields,
Yeah.
those are permanent structures, so. A lot of the other smaller fields they're nets that come down every year, Ken. Some of them do have crank systems, so they're easy to bore in
Yeah.
and bring down. If you're gonna have early season ice storms, which can happen, they can come down really fast. They can go back up rather than bring a lift in and do that, but crank systems can be expensive too, but it's very possible. Just depends what you want.
So I think the goal was just to see, is this something that, just conversation, is it something that we wanna continue having LBSA look into?
For
I
safety,
think
I think
so.
it's,
I mean,
I
yeah,
think it's worth definitely looking into, and, I do know fencing companies and stuff, depending where you got, or where you went with your welder,
Michael's fence company gave me the quote for the posts.
those quotes can vary widely. So
Yeah.
maybe 2 or 3 different places. Sometimes the people that don't need the work are gonna be higher quotes, but they do provide better service too sometimes, so.
And yeah, different gauges of steel as
Yep.
well, that a lot of times, so, yeah. Okay. Alright,
Especially from the baseball side, I think it'd be worth having the nets in there. for-
I think it makes sense for you guys to continue to look into that.
do we need to put anything towards any of that, or is that, so then we need to look at, because a lot of our budget that we initially had set was kind of for that, right?
I think we
you
had
guys-
set our wish list, and then we found out that our budget got cut,
And-
and then we weren't really sure what we were gonna be able to get
And
back.
that, we didn't even have quotes back on, so that wasn't even in the initial wish, like, that wasn't even gonna make our
Okay.
priority list, even based on what was in there, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think all of those things are beneficial.
Thank you,
Thank you.
LBSA.
Yeah, Brian, you guys are awesome.
That's a lot of moment, so thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
All right.
motion to adjourn?
We got one more.
We got
Thing, yeah.
spring community engagement
Sorry.
ideas.
So it's a balance between trying to ensure that we're having, I'm trying to make sure that our existing programs are running smoothly and adding a lot of new policies, procedures, and that sort of a thing. But I'm really getting to the point where I want to make sure that we're continuing to look at new ideas and engagement and that sort of thing. So I'm just kind of trying to look at some potentially low-cost things that we could do. A couple of the ideas one of the ideas that came out of this recreation survey that I threw on there was just even like a running or a walking challenge in the spring. And I think, if I look back, there were about 60 people who said that they would be interested. Now, this was adults, this was on the adult side of the survey. So just wanted to talk through, if that's something that we want to give a go to this spring, just from all of your standpoint. Do you think that we'd be looking at a morning type walk, an evening, should I put a poll out on Facebook, or what idea, you know, what ideas would you have to, make sure that we can get that kicked off as a first go at it, but,
It's a great idea.
Like a challenge or a walking, running group?
well, I don't know. Open to anything. I called it a challenge in the thing, which means like, I think people are just open to whatever.
So,
And it
Like
could be just
reporting
like.
as they do it,
Mhm.
instead of
Right,
doing
that's
it
what I
all
was
together.
wondering.
Right,
Yeah.
yes. I
can't-
think it'd be fun to do a group for those that want to, but we could have it be a blend of either, like if for those that can't go at this time and you see, it could be kind of a mash of both, but this is what, I'll take any feedback that you have and we'll give it a try, so.
I think a 30 and 30 would be fun to kick off the warm season. You know, walk a mile for 30 minutes, do at least 30 minutes of exercise, walking, running, whatever you do,
It'd be fun.
just to get people moving.
We should
Utilize
have
the
done it during the month of February.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no kidding, who knew?
I brought a list of different ideas, with things kind of on par with that. So I had like, thinking like a community cleanup day,
Mm-hmm.
like trash would be good, where people sign up for like city blocks, or it'd be even great if like there was an opportunity for people within the community to say like they need help with their yard, and it's time for us to be able to go there and do that. And then, you know, the scouts do like an Earth Day cleanup, where they're just, you know, going around and picking up different spots around town with the trash. We thought like maybe like a pet parade could be,
Oh my gosh.
could be fun for people to do, like, it's not like.
Did you get these from AI?
No, I have a really creative wife, we were just talking to these last night, but that's what we do. Like popsicles in the park would be cool, with like getting people to come together for that. We thought about, like, it really, what if we did, people submit photos of themselves around Lennox, like going on walks or playing on the park things, and then submitting those, and we could partner with like a Saddle Up to do like a winner, or like a drawing every month for somebody doing that. Like, I'm on the same idea of like going on walks, having like a photo scavenger hunt for people on walks, where they snap a picture of themselves on a walk near a sign, like, and then maybe it's a QR code that they scan, and that link sends them to the city's Facebook to post things. I thought like a sip and sit would be cool.
What
Like
is
where-
that?
Like a time where community can just gather at Saddle Up, and you bring your lawn chair and you just
Oh,
chill and hang out and sip coffee and
parking lot
talk to
coffee,
people.
social.
Bike safety checks with the police, like, would be
That one's, I
cool.
think, in the works, if all needs
Is
to
it?
in here.
They sometimes do that at the school.
Huh?
Electric
Yes,
Yeah,
there is,
right.
there's some conversations about that, I know that's.
Drag races.
And a great thing that we used to do a lot, we used to have movie after dark. Was a
Yes.
really cool thing they used to have, and put it on the band shell,
Yes,
like.
that is in
that'd
the
be-
works, I know the commercial club's doing that for a
Okay.
couple of their Park Drive After 5, or one of them, I think it is.
I can give you my printed out
Okay.
list that
Fun. I like it. Any of those,
That's
like,
way
just
more
initial, what are
than-
like of those, what are some ones you're like, okay, yeah, that would
I,
stick for
I like
life.
his photo idea of like when you're in the park, you
Yeah,
can, at
I
the
like
ball
that
game,
too.
take a
Okay.
photo of yourself
Yeah.
at the ball game. You know,
Okay.
A
that kind
challenge
of
like that, and then.
Photo
part of the
challenge
challenge.
of like being active, whether it
Yeah.
be, okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
Or even like a bingo challenge for spring.
Yeah.
You know, I played Gaga Ball is a square.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh,
You know, I
that'd be fun.
visited, you know, put both of the parks on there, and then they can turn in their bingo
Yeah.
for
That's a
a
great
chance
idea.
to
That's
win
fun.
prizes or
Yeah.
something.
So,
That's
like,
fun.
Like the volleyball court, go play.
Yeah, exactly.
Gather enough friends to go hang
Yep.
at the volleyball court.
So Yogi Bear, like, they do a
That's
thing like
fun.
that where you check out, they have like letters hidden throughout their park, and you could hide like letters throughout Lennox, and then you, it's like a number is assigned to a letter, right? And then you could have the sheets here where it spells out something that people, you know, go and fill those out and bring, I mean, there's like,
That's cool.
I just think it was, yeah.
Or even, you know, if there's a walk run challenge paired with a group, you know, maybe both, so if a certain time
Yes.
doesn't work for people, they can still participate in a
Right.
challenge. And maybe the top 3 people, you know, saddle up gift cards or something like
Yeah.
that. Doesn't have to be anything.
Right, that has to be
Expensive.
extra,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
I like the 30,
30 and 30.
30,
30 and 30,
it's got a
yeah.
little ring to it.
30-minute walk, 30-minute run.
What do you think's the
Something for 30
ideal, like it starts, when does our 30 days?
April
April.
first.
I was gonna say,
April 1, no joke.
don't be a fool.
Yep.
I like that.
Okay, I like that. Okay, I like bingo. That's, would be easy and, you know, people can come pick up at City Hall or print out or whatever.
That'd be fun to
Photo
kids, like,
challenge.
make it
Yes,
kid-friendly,
yeah.
yeah, that'd be a way to get them.
I'm not creative at all, so I came up with one. MLB does like a hit, pitch, and run competition. It's like pump, pass, and kick, but it's, you hit and you pitch and then you run. And it's all free. I think you sign up and then we just would need volunteers to run it pretty much. And I don't know what it would all entail, but
So
just
is it like a
for all,
camp, like
you could
type
almost
thing?
have all the kids in our programs that are in baseball, softball,
Uh-huh.
or even not in anything, they could come and do that.
Fun. That's a good idea too. Kind of like creative brains.
That wasn't creative, I
That's good.
searched.
That's fine.
God, on ChatGPT, give me something good.
Yeah.
Take credit, Steve.
It has good ideas, I
Oh,
have
yeah.
to say.
Yeah.
The help with the yards, I've been thinking about that too, the hometown, I'm from Olympia, Minnesota, and my folks and some other people put together kind of a volunteer group, but they call it Helping Hands, right? Or I know like in Sioux Falls, they have the rake the yard,
Rake the town.
rake the town, you know, different things like that, and I do think that the volunteer engagement would be fun, and, when we asked that interest survey, I think that was something for like the junior high school level, that there was some interest in, you know, some of those community volunteer experiences too. So that could be
Great.
one that we could bring here too.
Can I add something?
Yes.
Mhm.
So I heard you say about the Boy Scouts. The Lions also does an Earth Day cleanup as well. I wonder if maybe we kind of essentially fit each other and create a challenge out of that.
Who can collect the most bags?
Yeah, who can collect the most
The most
garbage bags.
garbage or something?
Yeah, because then when we turn it in at the city dump.
Yeah,
So
okay, we'll talk after this. We can figure
I think
out.
that'd be
That'd
kind of
fun.
something fun
Yeah.
to co-coordinate.
Yeah, that would be really fun, especially with the wind. We've got so much trash in my yard right now.
Well, and we can only do so much. So like last year, we really only walked from St. Magdalene down to the football field and then down 44 and then back up Main. And a few people kind of walked down Wayne and down Main, but we're limited. And there's some areas that you get into and there's no way, we don't have enough coverage.
Right.
So it'd be kind of neat to get
Mm-hmm.
everybody
Yeah,
involved.
that would be fun. Or I'm just thinking the spring soccer, you know, if it's something where one of the parents, maybe we
Yeah.
wouldn't have the coaches have to organize it, but maybe some other parent on the team would wanna say like, hey, do you wanna put it together, a
The
volunteer
baseball
team?
team or the soccer teams, you know,
Yeah.
are kind of all do it, but,
Yeah,
that's usually done though, Earth Day, I believe, is the last Tuesday in April this year.
awesome.
I don't think we've really chosen a date, but
Let's be in touch on that, that'll be good.
Another thing too, with going with Earth Day, Arbor Day is coming up. That's gonna be the 24th, I believe, of April. We're gonna need some trees planted somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how that looks, if you want volunteers to do it in parks, or if people wanna, I don't know how you do it. Everything costs money, trees cost money.
Mhm.
People bring an approved tree that they wanna plant.
Definitely.
We're not soliciting a donation necessarily, they can bring it if they have one that we've approved for an approved site, they can plant it there. We can help them. When I say we, us collectively, me, I don't
Yeah.
care.
You.
So,
Trust me.
I want to be there to help with the planting,
That
because
would be
the
an
first
awesome
5 minutes
idea.
of a tree's life on your property is the most important, so
Okay, oh, that's good to know
take
too.
care of that.
We do have the grant that we received, I didn't put that in my report, but it was a matching grant, I think we got 2,500 if I remember right, so there will be some trees, there were some plotted locations, but then potentially out at the, kind of like to the west of Juniper there as a, kind of like a wind stop,
Sure.
so, but,
We have that
Other
tree
digital.
donation too.
yes, for the parks, so we can figure out what locations might make the best. Can we see what family it is?
The Wrights family, made a donation to the LBSA to put some trees by the ball fields.
That'd be good.
Yeah.
That's a great idea. Okay, I can connect with you on that. We can see what- Okay.
Yep.
Fun.
Anything else? We've had a lot of short ones, this was a long one. But I'll entertain a motion to adjourn then.
Aye. Motions to
Alright.
adjourn.
In a second,
Second.
all in favor? Opposed? All right, we're out of here.
Last meeting, we were only here at 6:25.
I know. I gotta wait till the camera goes off, you know.
Very productive, guys.
My wife was at church and if I would've gotten done